In number 10, we are going to set up a proportion, two ratios that are equal to one another, and those ratios are going to be made up of side lengths from the different triangles. There's three triangles that we can look at to find those side lengths. The first one is just the largest triangle, but because we've got an altitude split in half, we've got a small triangle here, and then we've got kind of a medium-sized triangle in here. Okay, so depending on which side lengths we have, that's going to determine which triangles we use as part of our proportion. So for example, if I look at the largest triangle, the only side length I really know anything about is the hypotenuse, which tells me I'm probably not going to be using that largest triangle as part of my proportion because I just don't know enough information. I'm going to need to know at least two sides. So instead I'm going to use this small triangle, which has a short side given to me of 36 and then a long side given to me, that's x. And I'm also going to use the medium-sized triangle over here because it's got a short side of x and a long side of 64. So that's really the first step. Identify which triangles you're going to use, which ones have enough information for you to use. And then once you know that, it's just a matter of labeling where you're going to put that within your proportion. Okay, so I'm going to say we'll use the small triangle, and I'm going to put that as my numerators. Doesn't have to go there, but once I pick that, I know that's the spot it's going to go in. The medium triangle that I'm going to use, that'll be my denominators. Again, I could have flipped those around if I wanted to, but as long as you're labeling them, you know that they're going to go in the right spots in correlation with one another. And then you've got the two different types of sides that you know about each one. And one was the short leg and one was the long leg. So we'll say this is the short leg from those triangles, and this is going to be the long leg from those triangles. And once you've got your template here, now you just got to plug items in that you know of. So if I look at that small triangle and I try to find the short leg of that small triangle, that's the value 36. That's this one right here. Okay. If I look at the small triangle and look for the long leg, that would be x. And then we can go on to the medium triangle. The medium triangle's short leg is x, and the medium triangle's long leg is 64. We now have a proportion set up with all the values plugged in there so that all I have to do is cross multiply and divide. So when I do that, I get x times x, which is x squared. And then I've got 36 times 64, which ends up being 2,304. And I don't want x squared, but instead I'm going to take the square root to get x by itself. And when I do that to the other side, I get 48. And so this distance in there is 48. And some will say, well, if you take the square root of something, isn't it plus or minus 48? Algebraically speaking, yes, but here, since we're talking about a distance, it's got to be a positive value.